Hi everyone, this video is a book review about a book that I recently purchased off of Thrift Books, and it was on my wish list for about 3 to 4 months. And the title of this book is Anti-Aging Remedies, Heinerman's Encyclopedia of Anti-Aging Remedies. Natural age-defying remedies from cultures around the globe. World-renowned medical anthropologist shares his life's work with natural remedies. John Heinerman, PhD. So I added this to my little wish list because I try to gather things that I feel will be useful for me when I get older. I meet a lot of people on a daily basis that are suffering from so many different maladies, whether it's arthritis or bone loss or blood pressure, and I'm just like, I don't want that to be me. So I make sure to read as much as I can to get as much information as I can in order to have a better understanding for prevention. Also, I just wanted to see if there was something different that he had in his books that I have not come across in my other more recent health books. This book, mind you, was published in 1996, so most of the information is still relevant, yet outdated. It's not as new as it was when it was first discovered. However, I did find a lot of interesting new things that I didn't know, and I'm going to share them with you when I do my review. But before I get into all of that, let me tell you a little bit about the author, John Heinerman. It says in the back of the book, John Heinerman, PhD, is Prentice Hall's best-selling alternative health author, an internationally renowned medical anthropologist, an expert in the healing power of natural foods, herbs, and plants. He is the editor of Utah Prime Times and Folk Medicine Journal, and is the author of 50 books, including 24 volumes on natural healing. Dr. Heinerman's books include Heinerman's Encyclopedia of Juices, Teas, and Tonics, 1996, Heinerman's New Encyclopedia of Fruits and Vegetables, 1995, Heinerman's Encyclopedia of Healing Herbs and Spices, 1995, and I'm definitely getting that one. Heinerman's Encyclopedia of Nuts, Berries, and Seeds, 1995, and Heinerman's Encyclopedia of Healing Juices, 1994, all published by Prentice Hall. Wow, he wrote 3 books in 1995? That's a lot. But, yeah, so I went to check to see if he was still alive, and I guess he apparently is. It states that he was born in 1946, and I don't see a death date. So when I went to the internet to try to find an updated bio of him, I came across one on rationalwiki.com, and it was actually pretty mean. Like, it was like he had a hater writing his bio. It says John Heinerman, 1946, is an American anthropologist, fundamentalist Mormon, and alternative medicine quack. Now, first of all, just because it's alternative doesn't mean it's quackery. It just means it's alternative. His doctorate in anthropology was from Airlangga University in Indonesia and is not widely available. So just because it's from Indonesia doesn't mean that it's not, relevant just because it's from some other place. Now, Mormon, I did come across his beliefs in Mormonism throughout the book, but it wasn't like proselytizing as much. I'm still learning about Mormonism because I did have some Mormons try to tell me about Mormonism, and I felt like I was rude to them because they said something and I started laughing at them and I couldn't stop laughing. I asked, could women be called to preach? And they said, well, a woman can be, and this was, mind you, a couple of years ago. They said a woman can be like a teacher or something if she, gets a call. And I said, a call from God? And they're like, no, an actual phone call. And that's literally what made me laugh. I couldn't stop laughing for 2 minutes, and they were just sitting there like, dude. But yeah, I did see some of his Mormon beliefs coming through sometimes in the book, but it wasn't as intense. He basically stayed on track with his writings. It says, Heinerman is listed on cancer woo websites. Like, why do you keep calling everything woo? Okay. As the director of the Anthropological Research Center in Salt Lake City, Utah. He is the editor-in-chief of the Alternative Folk Medicine Journal and is a member of the Cancer Control Society. Heinerman is a proponent of oxygen therapy, a quack medical treatment, and is endorsed on various woo websites that sell vitamin O supplements. He has been described as on an oxygen supplement website as a leading authority on stabilized oxygen, having completed the only 2 valid medical research studies that have ever been conducted. Okay, so then they have a whole thing called Cancer Woo. Now, one thing I did have an issue with was the book he wrote called In Spiritual Wisdom of the Native Americans, and it was written in 1989. Heinerman made nonsensical claims that the spirituality of Native Americans was influenced by Mormonism. One angry reviewer described it as a Mormon book with a Native American cover. Okay, that one I can see why you're mad. But yeah, it's kind of like, I hope this person doesn't write my bio. But anyway, so as I go through this book review, this book was published, as it's stated, by Prentice Hall. As I go into the book review, I'm going to select some of the topics or stories that really stood out to me. What I really liked about this book was he interviewed people who were actually older. Now, 50, I don't consider that old. 70, I really don't even consider old, but he interviewed people that were older. 70, 75, 80, 90. He had a guy that was 137 years old that he interviewed. And I like that because sometimes these new books, they don't interview people who have actually lived longer than the author. Or they don't talk to people who have seen long-term results with what they have been doing. A lot of the stories in this book also contradict each other. You have some people who ate what I guess by today's standards would be like a very clean diet. Some of them were vegetarian. Some of them were vegan. I mean, I meet vegans every day. I don't think it's the healthiest diet. I think it's a cleansing diet. I'm not a vegan, but I think it's a cleansing diet for some people, but not all people. But like, you had people like that. And then you had people who had the most trash diet, or they had the most trash habits, but they're 100 years old. Like, one person smoked cigars all the time, or smoked a lot of cigarettes. Another woman ate a lot of bacon, and like, you'll hear people be like, I don't eat pork. But this lady ate bacon every day. Like, make it make sense. So all of these people have different tactics that they used to live a long time. And I will go through some of them now. I also selected others just in case you're dealing with a malady, and maybe this may help you with your malady. So the first thing that I am going to go over is for allergies, asthma, and bronchitis. And it is story number 3. What the real Betty Crocker does to prevent respiratory disorders. So the person he interviewed, her name was Betty Crocker. It says, way back in 1921, some executives at General Mills decided to create a fictional character to appear on boxes of some of their products. She was a white woman, somewhere between 40 and 55 years old, who looked like an all-American mom. It has been said that for those who happen to be Caucasian, there was a little bit of everybody's mother in Betty Crocker, the quintessential American housewife and homebody. So, as years pass, however, there were slightly different versions of her to reflect the ever-changing American society. In 1995, General Mills decided to do an 8th version of this great American advertising icon. Word was sent out through the media of a contest the company was running in which 75 lucky women would be selected to help create an entirely new image. So there's a contest going on. And this woman, named Betty Crocker, mind you, or named Mrs. Crocker, she got a call. And she said she also remembered that the person calling her with the good news made a big deal out of my name. The fact that I was a real-life Betty Crocker and would be turning 75 this same year that General Mills was celebrating their own Betty's 75th birthday. So what this Betty Crocker does for her respiratory system is walking. She said, Betty also thought that walking has a lot to do with how weak or strong your respiratory system is. My husband and I are walkers from the word go. We love to walk and do it every chance we get. She said they both average between 1 and 2 miles a day in a grassy area near their home, lined with trails that are suitable for doing this. And they don't just do one form of walking. They do multiple forms of walking. They would do aggressive strides, and they would walk on different landscapes at varied speeds. So it wasn't just always a flat surface. Sometimes it was a grassy surface. Sometimes it was a different surface. So doing this helps your body. It's like a mild workout. And I can attribute to this because I've never had allergies. I've never had like bronchitis. I might like cough sometimes. There's dust, but I don't have breathing issues. That's because I walk all of the time. Whereas my mother, she has asthma. They did diagnose me with asthma when I must have been a teenager, and they gave me an inhaler, and I threw the inhaler away because I'm like, I don't accept you telling me I have asthma. I can breathe. So me, I walk all the time. I'm walking up hills. Every day I walk up and down a large hill to go get to the bus. I walk up and down the stairs. I'm walking at work. I'm just walking all of the time. So it's strengthening my breathing. And then it says, in science or medicine, it's always nice to have more than one source of information to draw from. She also added, hold on. Okay. Hold on. From my voluminous files on anti-aging, which span several full filing cabinet drawers, I pulled interviews I conducted with 2 very old people back in 1985. Now what you'll notice, this guy, he mentions this file folder drawer that he has, or these cabinets. So I don't know how many people he's interviewed. He must have interviewed hundreds or thousands of them. He did even interview Margaret Thatcher as well. The first one was an international telephone call made to John Evans of Swansea, Wales, who then had just turned 108. He finally passed away at 112. At the time, he was living with his 74-year-old son and his wife. The second interview was in person with Maudie Ryder, who celebrated her 106th Christmas with her daughter Halloween Ryder in Holiday, a somewhat wealthy suburb of Salt Lake City. So, this is what Mr. Evans, the 108-year-old, had told him at the time. He said his rules for a long life: don't smoke, drink, or swear, but always treat yourself to honey, an onion, and a song every day. And then Miss Ryder attributed her long life to many things, including clean living and a clean mind. I used to say I didn't know how to find fault in people, she told me. Now, I think that's pretty interesting because me, I don't smoke. I've never smoked. I've never smoked weed. I've never smoked cigars. I've never smoked cigarettes. I've never smoked any type of herb ever in my life. I want to do some studies on the weed that people smoke or the different herbs that people smoke, because sometimes I will meet a lot of people who are avid smokers of marijuana, and I just notice sometimes some of them will have ashen colored skin, like as if their skin is drying out from the inside. But then it also makes me wonder, are they getting the actual marijuana, or is it one of those tampered marijuanas? I don't know. So me, I don't smoke or drink. I've never had a full cup of alcohol. If I did have any alcohol, it was either a sip, but I don't really remember. But I've definitely never had a full cup of alcohol. I've never had beer, champagne, wine, none of that. So I understand what he means by that, because when you're smoking, it's shortening your life. It can give you cancers and different things. It can affect your breathing, so you're not getting as much oxygen as you need to pump your body with, the fuel that it needs. You also, if you're overly drinking, that's aging you from the inside. It's also damaging your liver and shortening your lifespan. Now, the part about swearing, I could see, not like swearing, but just the mindset that you have. Holding consistent anger can damage the cells of your body as well. And he also says, treat yourself to honey, an onion, and a song every day. So the song is for emotional happiness, but it's also so you can breathe. Because if you're a professional singer, you're always having to use your diaphragm to breathe properly, to really express yourself through song. You're letting it out of you. You're letting it go. But honey is a very good anti-aging tool, because honey basically has an indefinite shelf life if you store it properly. They found some 3,000-year-old honey that was still edible in a tomb. I use honey every day on my face. I'll do my facial scrubs because I'm trying to get rid of some scars. I got this scar on my arm. I don't know if you can see it, but it's fading away since I've been doing the honey. I have one on my hand. I've scrubbed my face in the morning. The onion helps with inflammation in the body. And if you have onion juice, you can put it on your scalp and it helps with alopecia. So anyway, it's from simple evidence of good folks like these that we've learned what it takes to both prevent as well as treat allergies, asthma, and bronchitis. 1. Walk daily for at least an hour. 2. Work outside as much as possible. 3. Eat a variety of colored fruits and vegetables. 4. Don't allow yourself to get excited. And 5. Don't consume sugary junk foods or beverages. And he added that as his own. Now, what I think is really, really interesting was, Mr. Evans said, I think there should be no cursing and swearing in one's life. It disturbs the nerves, And I think that was pretty interesting, because one of the things that can damage the body, I don't know which branch of medicine it is, whether it's traditional Chinese medicine or Ayurveda, but it talks about excitability, like being overly excited. I think when people are just like too amped, it disturbs the nervous system. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Then if you have a cat, if you have a cat, the primary offender in cats is a protein called Felis domesticus allergen 1, or better remembered in its shortened form, FeLD1. It is found in the saliva and skin of all cats. This allergen is continually shed as tiny airborne particles only 1/10 the size of a bit of dust. Contrary to popular belief, cat hair is not allergenic. On the other hand, some FeLD1 is transferred to the hair as the cat grooms itself. Any hair floating in the air can irritate the respiratory tract of persons afflicted with asthma, bronchitis, or emphysema. Also, other substances like pollen, dust, and mites that can cling to the cat hair might contribute to a person's allergies. So if you have this cat, here's some tips that you can do to minimize but not totally eliminate the unfavorable reactions to a cat allergen. First, try spraying your cat once a week with a solution of weak peppermint tea. To make a weak tea, add 1 teaspoon of peppermint leaves to 1 pint of boiling water. Cover with the lid and set aside to steep for 25 minutes. Strain, put into an empty spray bottle, and spray over the cat's entire body. And you have to wear leather gloves. And hold the container nozzle 2 inches away from the cat's hair. It doesn't need to be rubbed in by hand, but should be left alone to dry, so as not to cause serious matting problems with long-haired cats. Also, having them groomed regularly and keeping the cats out of your bedroom. Like having one cat-free zone room. Also, go easy on the vacuuming, since the exhaust of most machines stirs up particles of cat allergen like you wouldn't believe. And he recommends like a vacuum that I don't know if they even make this anymore, Vitavac. But yeah. Then you should also think about using a damp mop whenever possible, especially in the bedroom, instead of the vacuum. Damp mopping bedroom carpet helps more than you may realize. See, that's why I hate carpet. That's why every time I get an apartment, if it has carpet, I just forget it. I'm like, yeah, I don't care how nice this apartment is. It has carpet. Carpet holds smells. Carpet holds dust. I can't sweep it like a hardwood floor. But wow, that's incredible about the cats. I do like cats, but I don't think I'll get one because personally, I feel like I'm breathing. It's another living being. It's another species, and its germs get into my germs. I already have my own germs, but I just don't want to make myself sick. Because I did live with cats. Like Terrence had some cats, and I do notice my breathing was affected for real. I do notice that. I was coughing a little bit more, but I love those cats. So that's the first part. A particular antioxidant that can prevent respiratory problems. Some patients given daily supplements of proanthocyanidins, their respiratory problems immediately cleared up. So these proanthocyanidins are more potent than either vitamin C or E. They bind to collagen and elastin fibers, but are more effective than vitamin C. So what are they in? They are green, red, and yellow bell peppers, purple eggplant, red cabbage, orange carrots, pink grapefruit, yellow squash, melons, crimson tomatoes, and golden peaches. So when you're thinking about what kinds of foods to eat that may be high in proanthocyanidins, remember that color is everything when it comes to this. I wonder if chlorella has some in it. So the next ailment is Alzheimer's disease. And I'm not going to explain what it really is, but it's increasing forgetfulness, it's anxiety, withdrawal, depression, urinary and fecal incontinence. It can basically kill you over time. Most patients die within 5 to 10 years of contracting Alzheimer's disease. So let us see. He recommends nutrients for the brain. And before I read you these, okay. The brain requires constant nourishment in order to function properly. As we get older, these needs dramatically increase. Brain foods can be obtained 2 ways, through eating them or else taking a wide variety of supplements. The safest way to proceed in obtaining optimal brain nutrition is outlined in some simple steps below. Eat a balanced diet, low in fat and high in carbohydrates, but definitely with protein foods added. Take a daily supplement of the RDA, or recommended dosage for vitamins and minerals. Take a broad spectrum antioxidant once a day. Eat foods high in antioxidants. Avoid smoking, drinking, over-consuming caffeinated beverages, and eating too many simple sugars. And talk to a doctor or nutritionist about brain booster preparations. He also talks about vitamin E, and the best source of vitamin E being wheat germ oil, which I thought was kind of interesting. I never thought of wheat germ. I've seen it plenty of times. I've seen the wheat germ oil. I've seen the wheat germ that you can add to your food. But I guess if you're a person that likes to eat oatmeal or something for breakfast, then throw in some wheat germ. Now, vitamin E, I could see why that would help with Alzheimer's, because vitamin E is an antioxidant, of course. If you want to increase sperm and fertility in yourself, you can take high doses of vitamin E, or not high doses, but I don't remember the exact IU that you take. I don't know if it's 400 or 500 IU, but vitamin E, my friend studying traditional Chinese medicine stated that sesame seed oil was probably high in vitamin E, because in TCM, they say if you take sesame seed or black sesame, over the course of time, your hair will change back to its original color. The teeth that fell out of your mouth will grow back. You'll be as strong as a horse. And apparently that's high in vitamin E. So I can see how that could affect the brain and possibly combat Alzheimer's. Now this author, has this very big habit of name dropping. He just names the same brands over and over and over and over and over and over and over. It's almost as if he's a free sponsor for them. I don't know if he works for these brands or if he's actually very passionate about these brands. So some of them are the 3 best supplements in the health food marketplace that I know of for zapping free radicals in the brain are kyolic garlic from Wakunaga, Mighty Greens from Pines International, and Ginkgo biloba plus from Wakunaga. I advise taking 2 capsules of each of the fine Wakunaga products once a day on an empty stomach. Mix 1 level tablespoon of the Mighty Greens powder with 8 ounces of water. Stir thoroughly and drink it while swallowing the capsules. Mighty Greens is composed of wheatgrass, barley grass, beet juice, rhubarb juice, peppermint, and over 20 other herbs. It is the single best chlorophyll product in the entire health food industry. Now, I know barley grass and wheatgrass are high in chlorophyll. Beet juice is usually used for cleansing, I think, of the, I want to say the liver. Rhubarb is for digestion, and peppermint is a stimulant. I don't know what the other herbs are. B-complex vitamins directly affect brain function in a variety of ways. A high-potency B-complex, 2 tablets daily, will improve the memory very quickly. Don't worry if your urine becomes a little more yellow. This is just a natural consequence of taking B vitamins. And then he also talks about vitamin C. So I know B12, some people will use that for like energy. They'll use it to combat stress. You're supposed to replenish your B vitamins every day because they're water soluble. So I heard of a woman getting rid of her cavities using vitamin B, but that was a long time ago on YouTube. I don't remember her video, but that's what she stated in her video. Choline and lecithin are 2 other nutrients necessary for normal brain functions. Choline can be taken in eating cheese, fish, liver, egg yolks, seeds, oils, peanuts, peas, beans, brewer's yeast, green leafy vegetables, cauliflower, and cabbage. So, anyway, he mentions a smart drink, and I guess this is something that he made up. It goes like this. Gently crush into powder with a rolling pin, hammer, or similar heavy object 1 tablet of each of these vitamins: glutamine, folic acid, vitamin B6, and vitamin C. Do this on a piece of wax paper or clean linen cloth. Then shake into the small bowl and set aside. Empty 2 gelatin capsules of each of these powders, Kyo ginseng and ginkgo biloba plus, from Wakunaga of America. Man, I don't care where it's from. I just want it from a reputable source. I don't care where I get the ginkgo biloba. Include them into the bowl with the other powders. Mix 1.5 tablespoons of mighty greens from pines and 8 ounces of spring water. Stir thoroughly, then add the other powders and stir again, or else put everything into a Vitamix container and blend for 1 minute on minimum speed. Drink in the morning before breakfast. Or you could just not do all of that and just get the individual powders or get a greens powder. Doesn't have to be from that brand. I'm just saying, like, to make it easier on you. You could get some chlorella. I would just say get a greens powder because a lot of these greens powders already have probiotics and everything you need in them. So you can add that and then throw in your own little capsules. I still would research the brands before you do it to make sure they're a quality brand. But he also has like this beef against cows. Cow brand, Kal, Thompson, and Twin Labs. And I'm like, what's wrong with cow? They're pretty good. Maybe at the time they were very bad, but the garlic is for inflammation. And then the ginkgo biloba, I already did a video on that, a book review on ginkgo biloba, where it helps with inflammation. So you can use it for the eyes for macular degeneration. You can use it for the ears for tinnitus. You can also use it for, it's usually used for the brain, of course. So, next one is, I don't want to do that one. Bladder strengtheners. So, Incontinence, 53. Actually, no, let's do baldness because I get that one a lot. 53. Baldness beautified. So, this guy that he interviews is named George Washington Kitchens, and he was 98 years old. At that time, he was Salt Lake City's oldest resident. George's life spanned the eras from horse and buggy to rocket ship. When he was born, the United States still flew the Civil War flag with its 37 stars. So, it says, 2 very remarkable things struck me about this man. One was his happy personality. The other was his near full head of hair. How come you're not bald like every other older fellow? I asked, knowing full well that in my late 40s I had gotten pretty thin through the middle on my scalp. It's a trade secret, he teased with a sly grin. Been in my family forever. My father died with almost all of his own hair intact, as did his father before him. And I said, oh, it's a genetic thing? He said, more of a dietary thing. Both of my great uncles and uncle on my dad's side became bald as billiard balls when they reached 70, and 2 of my own 3 sons probably have less hair on their heads by now than what I have on my chest. George claimed that the food secret to the lack of baldness in himself, his father, and his granddad was cooked greens like the kind they make in the South. My mom always fixed us greens every chance she could. I took a hankering to them myself at an early age and have been eating them ever since. They're cooked best when flavored with a little lemon juice and fried bacon bits. When his family relocated to the Mountain West, first in Idaho, then later in Utah, stinging nettle was substituted for collards. Well, I see. You got some stinging nettle. Okay. Of course you got some stinging nettle. That's probably, you already had like the collard greens in there. You're already getting the green nutrients. But now you add a stinging nettle. He probably doesn't have any issues with arthritis either if he added that. Because I know Hildegard von Bingen had a recipe with stinging nettle for either pain or rheumatism or something of that nature. Okay. While it may not always be practical to cook up a bunch of mixed greens and eat them on a regular basis, a person could certainly take them in a different form that's more convenient with the same results. Pines International has a product called Mighty Greens. Of course, he's going to say that. He also mentioned 7 Drops of Concentrace, which I know is a good brand, a trace mineral product from Trace Minerals Research of Ogden, Utah. This will supply the body with other elements that keep the hair follicles alive, healthy, and in place for many years. He also said giving the scalp a good scalp massage. And of course, that's going to work because when you're massaging your scalp, you're increasing blood circulation to the scalp. Wherever, I remember, I have to do it again because, my hair is very fine, but I remember when I was like really, really massaging, my hair in a certain section of my head was very, very thick. So I'm going to start doing that again. Even like if you want to increase your breast size for women, like you can massage inward. It's called the sitting female deer exercise. And I'll have to tell it to you one day, but like massaging inwards 100 to 360 times will increase the size of your breasts, but it'll also stop your menstrual cycle and your aging process. You go in the opposite direction, it'll decrease the size of your breasts and your cycle will come back. So massage, sending blood to certain places. Wherever blood flows, matter is affected. So you want some action up on your scalp? I would do that. Also, personally, just from meeting different people, I feel like I personally feel a lot of guys that are suffering from hair loss is because they lack zinc. And some of these guys, I feel they lose zinc from 1, a bad diet sometimes, frequent sex. And I know people like sex and baldness. Yes, personally, that's how I feel. Because when you're having sex, you're ejaculating, you're losing vital minerals. So you're going to have to replenish yourself of those nutrients and minerals. But some of these young dudes that I have seen going bald, in their 20s and their 30s. It just be like over here with this person, over here with that person, and they're losing these vital minerals. They're losing their strength. So I feel like if they are going to do that, then increase their mineral intake, especially with the trace minerals, because a lot of our food lacks trace minerals. Like, it's been depleted from the soil, so we're not getting as much as we possibly could. So it's just good to add it to your diet. Bladder strengtheners. Techniques for controlling urine leakage. Now, this one, I don't know if you're dealing with it, but I feel like this one would be like pure torture if I couldn't control my bladder. But there's a lot of people living this lifestyle of not being able to control, like, when they go to the bathroom. It says the medical problem may be characterized as a partial or total inability to control the urge to urinate. It is prevalent in older folks, being twice as frequent in women over the age of 50. I wonder why with the women. Is it like due to all our body goes through, like, birthing children and having a cycle usually? Like, I don't know. I wonder. Okay, there are different kinds of incontinence. Stress and urge incontinence are two of the most common. Stress incontinence occurs when some activity, laughing, coughing, lifting, for instance, temporarily increases the pressure on the bladder, causing a small amount of urine leakage. Urge incontinence happens when an unexpected inclination to urinate is followed by an inability to control the bladder, sometimes releasing copious amounts of urine. It can lead to social embarrassment, mental depression, and public isolation. More often than not, it is the major reason why people are put in nursing homes by their relatives. That is so sad. Several factors are believed to be responsible for this problem. Abnormalities of the detrusor muscle, which contracts to force urine out of the bladder, is one of them. Another is weakness of the muscles of the pelvic floor that support the bladder and control urine flow in women who've just delivered newborns. Age-related changes in the urinary tract, like bladder shrinkage, atrophy of the urethra due to the decreased estrogen production in postmenopausal women. God, this sounds horrible. But you know what's interesting? There is this book. What is his name? Mantak Chia. He has a bunch of books about chi and chi self-massage. And in his chi self-massage, he said, and I don't know if like bladder, anus, like I don't know if they're like connected. I'm not like a science major or know anatomy like that. But he says that exercising the anus, like tightening it, does something to the entire body. Like, it's, you tighten it, you release. You tighten it, you release. It rejuvenates the body. It's sending chi up in your body. So I'm wondering if an exercise like that can help with incontinence. So it says ways of resolving the matter. In a number of cases, older men and women have regained control of their bladders with techniques such as bladder training for urge incontinence and Kegel exercises. Oh, okay. For stress incontinence, bladder training begins by scheduling a bathroom visit every 2 hours, whether a person needs to go or not. The interval is steadily increased by 30 minutes at a time toward a goal of 4-hour intervals. And he also said that some of the herbs that can help with incontinence are asparagus, barberry, blackcurrant, buchu, carrot, celery, chervil, chickweed. Oh, he gives the amount you can take. Okay. Asparagus, 1 cup of the water that they are cooked in. Barberry, 1 cup of tea or 4 capsules. Black currant, half a cup of the juice. Buchu, 1 cup of tea or 3 capsules. Carrot, 1 cup of juice. Celery, half cup of juice mixed with 1 cup of carrot juice. Chervil, half to 1 cup of tea. Chickweed, 1 cup of tea or 2 capsules. Chicory, half a cup of juice made from the leaves mixed with 1 cup of carrot juice, 1 cup of tea made from the root. Dandelion, half a cup of the juice made from the tender leaves and combined with 1 cup of tomato juice, 1 cup of tea made from the root or 3 capsules. Garden violet, 1 cup of tea made from the spring leaves or fall harvested rootstock. Horseradish, 1/4 teaspoon sauce consumed with half a slice of bread or 2 capsules. Juniper, 1 cup of tea periodically. Licorice, 2 capsules or 1 cup of tea made from the root bark. Onion, half a cup of tea made from the boiled bulb or half of the bulb. Slice, lightly sauteed and eaten. Parsley, 1/4 cup of juice mixed with 1 cup of carrot juice. Peach, 1 fresh peach peeled and eaten. 1 cup of tea made from the leaves or 15 drops of the tincture. Radish, 1/4 cup of juice mixed with 1 cup of tomato juice. And willow, 1 cup of tea, 3 capsules or 15 drops of the tincture. So I'm reading all of that, so just in case you are dealing with this and you just don't want to get the book, you can possibly, with the permission of your doctor, use these things to help with this issue. Then he has a person he interviewed who was 137 years old and 73. Let's see. This person was a black man who came from Africa. Let's see. It said he was in the 70s. At that time, he had just celebrated his 134th birthday, and he was getting interviewed. So he came over enslaved as a boy. He was never certain about his birth date, and there were always questions about his true age. He was 133 years old when discovered picking oranges in a citrus grove in central Florida. So this dude, when he died and they did the autopsy, they found a bullet from the Civil War in his pelvis. Yes, he's 137 years old. So he says he eats what he wants. I inquired into the man's diet, hoping to find a clue or two there with regard to his remarkable longevity. He says, I eat what I want to. I've never worried about anything so long as it doesn't wiggle or squirm on my plate, but I do like garlic and onions, have munched on many of them in my time, eat them like apples and keeps the people away from me. I drink what I please, but don't touch much liquor. Bad stuff for you if you get too much. Makes people do crazy things. He also liked a strong black coffee. And he passed away in his sleep without pain. So when they did his autopsy, they wanted to see why he lived so long. When they checked for atherosclerosis, I think that's what it's called, the cause of death was listed as chronic renal failure, chronic congestive heart failure, and bronchopneumonia due to the natural causes of old age, yet his heart overall was remarkably sound considering his extreme age. He only had mild atherosclerosis, and that the renal arteries in both kidneys had minimal atherosclerosis. Even in his brain, there was minimal of it. Now, why was this? It's because he ate garlic and onions for most of his life. And it says, scientific research has shown that those people who regularly incorporate one or the other or both in their diets usually have the least amount of coronary artery disease. What was that? Oh, it's a shadow. He occasionally sipped liquor, which I thought was interesting because they talk about like the French living long lives because they sip red wine a little bit every day, which is high in resveratrol, and it prevents the hardening of the arteries. He also did a lot of walking. He never really had a sit-down job. He was either a janitor, he was picking fruit, he was always walking. And, because he was enslaved, he had to do hard labor, so it required lifting and carrying heavy loads. So he really exercised his body, by force, but still, it was moving his body. So, I think that was pretty interesting. Vision impairments. Goshiut, is that how you pronounce it? Indian remedy for better eyesight. 331. So, this lady talked about, I don't know how old she was, but she showed me, her name was Miss Reed. She showed me an old piece of paper that had been considerably yellowed with age. She said, my grandfather had an uncle who wrote down this formula before she died. I don't know if she left any more written records on other formulas. And the Goshutes, I guess they're a tribe. Ibapa Goshute. So they're Native Americans. She said that all of the herbs that in her grandmother's formula were scattered across the reservation. They were collected in the latter part of August to the latter part of September, dried, mixed together, and eventually made into a tea. The eyes were frequently bathed with a strange solution of it. Some of the tea was also consumed internally. Judging from the list of ingredients, I would say to use 1 to 2 cups a day. That's what he says. Now, if you're going to use an eye wash, do not, I repeat, do not use it the next day. If you're going to make it, make sure all of the particles are out of the eye wash. And also make sure that you make a fresh batch. If you're going to do this on a daily basis, make sure that you use a fresh batch. Because if you don't, you can get bacterial infection in your eye. And also make sure it's very strained because you don't want any of the particles getting into your eyeball, scratching your eyeball. Make sure that it is not freezing cold, that it is not hot, that is just like regular temperature, just room temperature, so you won't damage your eye or burn it. So this is the eye formula ingredients. And it's 1 teaspoon angelica root, 1 tablespoon blue bottle flower or corn flour, 1 tablespoon eyebright herb, 1 teaspoon mule's ear, which is optional, 1 tablespoon plantain herb, 1 teaspoon wild Oregon grape rootstock, and 1 teaspoon yucca root. You can also use lutein, like the supplement lutein, to help with the eyes. There's also some eye strengthening exercises you can do. I'll have to show you one day. They're in the book called The Complete System of Self-Healing Internal Exercises. She says her grandmother put everything into a coffee pot of water, put the lid on top, boiled the contents on a low fire for 20 minutes. After the brew had cooled, she strained it several times before bottling and refrigerating. She used it on a variety of eye problems ranging from cataracts, conjunctivitis, diabetic retinopathy to glaucoma. And he also recommended ginkgo biloba, of course, because that helps with macular degeneration. But yeah, I learned a lot in this book. I don't want to make this too long. Oh my god, it's just so long. So let me see if I can give you a couple of tidbits before I cut off. For nice nails, you can use brewer's yeast, gelatin, and horsetail. Horsetail, as you know, is high in silica. And this is from a nail tech. So brewer's yeast, 1 teaspoon stirred into a glass of milk, and you drink it. Gelatin, 1 teaspoon Noxon flavored gelatin mixed in with the milk. And then horsetail, empty the contents of 3 capsules of powdered horsetail herbs into the milk. That is what cements everything. So I guess it's a nail drink. I'd also say biotin, bamboo tea, rubbing your nails like this. This is from Balayam Yoga. Don't rub your thumbs together. Rub your nails together like this for 3 to 5 minutes. It's supposed to help your hair grow, but I feel like when you do this, it's sending circulation to your nails. Rubbing oil on your nails every day too, like castor oil. My fingernail will grow really long, my dipping finger, from dipping it in the castor oil. And I wish I could go through everything in here, but there's literally so many, there's so many stories. I'm sorry if I went on too long. I just wanted to share with you some information about it. And you can just get the book yourself and read through it, because he had a lot of good things that I've never even heard of, like preserving hair color by eating a lot of cranberries. Like, who would have thought? Helping with the prostate, different things. So yeah, that's all I have to say for now. I'll talk to you all later. Bye-bye.